Sure.
onto the book page. Chapter 10, Avoiding Problems, Debugging, and Resources, which again seems like one of those chapters where obviously having your application running on a device, knowing how to deal with what's going on and finding the errors and such. So this chapter is obviously a really critical chapter for anyone that's building an application, so they'll be able to actually understand why their application fails and when it fails. Do, do you, by the way, do you I mean, I don't even know what my question is. Well, what I'm thinking is obviously, as your application is running in the real world, sometimes you're going to get bugs that you didn't really expect to get or that you didn't plan for. Do you have any specific recommendations on how to deal with bugs in production already?
Sure. I mean, with Android, this is one of the great things about the Android market, or Google Play as it's called now,
Mm-hmm.
is that you can actually, you're in charge
Mm-hmm.
of your application.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to push a bug out, a bug fix,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't want to push a bug out. If you want
Right.
to push a bug fix
Right.
out in your application, you can do that, just do it and it's done. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to wait for approval from any sort of authority to say that it's okay to do so or anything. You're in total control of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very simple, if you do get some sort of a bug, to, fix it and get it out there to your users as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. So could you also like on the same level, and this is just like just a random question. Could you capture scenarios where your application crashes or something of that nature and send the developer information about it, or is that sensitive information that you wouldn't be able to get that information, such as?
No, you,
Mm-hmm.
you could definitely include some sort of tracking capability
Mm-hmm.
inside of your application that reports back to
Mm-hmm.
something. You'd probably want to let users know about
Right,
that,
with a disclosure,
just
right,
in case. It's best to be transparent in any of this stuff. So
right,
in your description, just say, oh, in the case of this scenario, we will detect it and report it back anonymously to
right,
um, the developer or something like that.
right.
Google Play also has a mechanism in which, if there is a problem on the operating system level that it detects,
Mm-hmm.
it'll report back in your statistics,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd be able to read that through the Android market, through your developer account. You can see when things have crashed and why, and things of that nature.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And so I would tie this chapter up with obviously everything in this chapter is really critical for the success of your application. But beyond that, especially if you build a complete application and you're not gonna find every bug on your own, and you're gonna have to get other people to look at your application and explore it. So when you're done with your application, let's say you send it out to 10 friends to play with your game or whatever it is, try to figure out a way to be able to capture any time that your users, you know, create an issue that you didn't expect. If it's with creating some sort of log system where you could have more information, and then obviously you wouldn't be able to do this in a live production, like Joseph said, without very explicit disclosure. But at the same time, while you're testing it, it could be a very powerful way for you to just make sure that you got all your issues covered, or at least the basic issues covered. Because sometimes as a developer, it's harder to find the issues that real users would experience. Yeah, I think that's it on mine. So this is a great chapter. Obviously, really you left kind of like the really important um, things you have to be aware about towards the end of the book, which makes a lot of sense.